Well, it's good to see you here on this Friday afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jurnee Taylor. Weather's at the top of everyone's mind right now, especially as the skies somewhat clear up.
I know. It was a rough, bumpy, loud
Very
morning,
rough.
wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
We had a lot going on this morning. We had several severe thunderstorm warnings, and luckily we didn't have too much damage from those. We had a little bit of wind damage, and I think there was some limbs. But other than that, those were the only issues that we had. The radar has finally settled, thank goodness. The storm's still in the state, but they are pushing out. And behind it, we have some cloudy skies, but a little peak of sunshine here and there. Temperatures right now are 72 in Little Rock, 68 in Searcy, and hello Pine Bluff, you're at 69 degrees. Now for your Friday, we're going to have a mix of clouds and just a little tiny bit of sunshine, but I'll take that tiny bit. Things are looking good, looking for those highs in the upper 70s, and we'll start to see maybe a little bit of spotty rain shower here and there later in the evening, but overall your Friday is good to go, and we'll talk about the weekend weather coming up in a few minutes.
Thank you, Tracy. Well, we're following developing news out of Saline County this afternoon, where crews spent the morning battling a fire in Benton. It happened at a building holding several businesses along Military Road. City officials tell us the fire started around 5:30 this morning. 3 businesses were impacted: a jewelry store where the fire started, and a liquor and barber shop that are now dealing with residual damage. Nobody was at the businesses at the time, but investigators are now working to determine what started the fire. Teach V11's Brooke Buckner is following the story for us, and we'll have the very latest at 5 and 6. Governor Sarah Sanders taking a hard stance against the Biden administration's efforts to create a more inclusive environment in the classrooms. The White House recently changed the language in Title IX, using phrases like protecting people in place of women. It may seem like a minor edit, but that revision rolls back Trump-era rules and has Governor Sanders ready to take executive action to stop the rule change from taking shape in classrooms across Arkansas.
According to the rule, sex is no longer based on the commonly understood biological differences between men and women. It's based on how a person feels or their gender identity.
Taking the governor's side, former collegiate swimmer Riley Gaines supporting Sanders in the new order, which instructs schools to follow state Title IX laws. Well, not everyone is happy with the new order. The ACLU, for instance, heavily criticizing the governor, saying in part, quote, "True leaders foster unity and address the actual needs of people, not divide, bully, and exclude," end quote. Well, it is a busy day at the Capitol yesterday, but it wrapped up with talks over funding coming to an end as lawmakers locked in a new budget plan for the next fiscal year. A $6.3 billion plan to be exact. That money will pour into funding the state through the next fiscal year. Lawmakers also agreed to raise the spending limit by 1.8%. Now that it has the green light from state Congress, the bill heads to the governor's desk to await being signed into law. Another decision made by state leaders will affect the way you register to vote. The Arkansas Election Commission approved a ban on electronic signatures being used on voter forms. Under the new rule, you must physically sign voter registration documents as well as any ballot petitions. Well, taxes is just something you can't run away from, no matter how hard you try. And in Little Rock, it may soon cost a bit more when paying your dues. Raising the sales tax has been something Little Rock Mayor Frank Scott Jr. has been waiting for and wanting for years. But his repeated attempts to make that a reality has failed more than once. Still hanging on to hope, the mayor spoke at a public meeting addressing concerns from people on edge at the idea of having to pay more money.
I come from a standpoint that failure is not final. You got to take, when you get a loss, you get a lesson. And so we've been able to listen to residents over the past year. And we brought back a better package that truly reflects their thoughts.
If passed, your tax money will go to things like public safety, infrastructure, parks, and the state's economy. Thanks to Arkansas voters, use of medical marijuana is legal in Arkansas, but for the first time since that's happened, one dispensary is at risk of having its license stripped away. Leaders at the ABC are accusing Green Springs for selling expired marijuana products. Those claims come after an agent went in undercover to make a purchase after seeing online posts raising concerns about the dispensary, and say this isn't the first time they've gotten complaints.
The hope is that by issuing those violations that would curb the behavior and that we would fix it and everyone would be fine. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So this is the first time that the state has been in a position where we felt it was appropriate to revoke a license.
The owner, on the other hand, tells us this decision is one that he was blindsided by and is looking into filing an appeal. At the national level, former President Donald Trump still facing legal trouble in just about every direction. During trial yesterday, Stormy Daniels took the stand speaking on the alleged hush money payments sent to her by Trump. At the same time, Trump is being accused of possibly violating a gag order 4 times. So far, he's already been fined $9,000 for past violations. And college campuses continue to deal with chaotic protests. But as they work with local officials to get things under wraps, President Biden addressed the issue, saying there is no justifying violence and spoke out against anti-Semitism. Around 2,000 people have been arrested so far at more than 30 colleges. In Arizona, a strict abortion ban is being thrown out the window thanks to those state lawmakers. The Arizona Senate voted to approve an appeal getting rid of a law from the Civil War era. It got the final stamp of approval from their Democratic governor, Katie Hobbs, who says the repeal is a step in the right direction for protecting reproductive rights. Providing students with good education starts with keeping good teachers in the classroom. Here's how Arkansas ranks against other states when it comes to the salary of those educators.
Governor Sarah Sanders took to her X account to announce Arkansas now has the highest starting teacher pay in the country. That pay increased from $36,000 to $50,000 a year through the Arkansas Learns Act signed into law last year.
We used to be 48th in the country. Now, adjusted for cost of living, we're #1.
President April Reisma of the Arkansas Education Association says the new teacher salary is a step in the right direction. But Reisma says a large group of teachers was forgotten.
What's happened is that a veteran with 15 years of experience is making the same amount as someone fresh out of college. And that is certainly not what we see as fair. When you look at the years of experience and the advanced degrees that a veteran might have.
Through the Learns Act, along with a $50,000 base pay for new teachers, veteran teachers already making that amount would receive a $2,000 raise. But Reisma says that's not enough.
The thing that the Learns Act took away were the step increases, and those were intended to reward growth and to give you some kind of compensation for your years of experience and your advanced degrees.
Reisma says the loss of those pay skills could negatively impact other forms of education.
I'm concerned that when we don't give extra money for folks with advanced degrees, we are now going to be taken away from higher education, because that's where the educators go to get those advanced degrees.
Additionally, the Learns Act originally promised to help fund these new changes, but Reisma says that hasn't been the case for every school.
They have not been guaranteeing those funds, and additionally, they are not enough to cover everything. So smaller districts, our rural districts, are in grave danger of being closed down because they just simply won't be able to make ends meet.
Well, finding a place to sleep can be a daily battle for some people, but the city of Pine Bluff is beefing up its efforts to keep folks off of the street. The Salvation Army's overnight shelter offers short-term living options, but that closes next month, putting some at risk of not having a bed to sleep in. So the city turned an older elementary school into a new day center. The Group Opportunity House just opened last month and is actively working to help those in need.
He was homeless for about a year and a half, and within 15 days of coming in and signing up for our services, we've already gotten him into a home.
Mayor Shirley Washington says the resources like these are crucial for benefiting the entire community. At least 2 people facing injuries after severe storms rolled through the state of Texas. We'll give you a look at how residents there are recovering when we get back.